Hey guys, we're live at the Bitcoin Rodeo conference in Calgary, Canada. We're here with Fred from 3IQ. I'm Ashton Addison from EventChain and the CryptoCanucks, and this has been quite the event so far. Really has a Canadian spirit. I saw you spoke earlier. Could you tell us a little bit about what's been going on so far at the conference?
Well, really, I tried to set the stage this morning by talking to people about what really Bitcoin is and what it's about, and we have a very diverse crowd here. We have people that know very little about it. We have investment advisors looking to get Bitcoin into their client accounts, as well as we have some of the best crypto experts and bloggers around the country here. So it's an amazing crowd. My job was to kind of start off early in the morning. A lot of funny stories about what we've been through in 4.5 years trying to bring crypto to Canada, and it's been pretty exciting.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, this has been, as far as I've seen so far in Alberta, it's a huge crowd and it's one of the biggest events so far, but I'm anticipating the community to grow even further in the coming months, in the coming years. And if you could speak a little bit about, how 3IQ has grown so far, I think that you guys have done a really good job. So if you could just give a little 1-2 on what you guys are doing in the Canadian markets.
Yeah, I got involved in crypto assets and Bitcoin probably about 3.5 years ago. And in a former career, I actually listed gold, silver, and platinum on the Montreal Stock Exchange. So what we've been trying to do is get to the point where we can list Bitcoin, Ether, and Litecoin and some of the other cryptos on the Toronto Stock Exchange. But it's now been a long road, 3 years and $3.5 million, but we're getting there. We're working very closely with all the regulatory agencies in Canada. But we've spent the last 2 years going across Canada and educating thousands of people about what is crypto, what are crypto assets, what's Bitcoin, and everything else along the line. So it's really been a fun ride. It's been very expensive, but we know we're going to get there. We're still in the early innings of a very long baseball game.
For sure. And you know what, as you mentioned, Fred, education is key, especially with this paradigm shift from traditional stock investors to now cryptocurrencies and technical things that a lot of people aren't used to, right? And I know that you guys are trying to bridge the gap to bring that to the traditional markets. So in the Toronto Stock Exchange, there's a lot of investors that have a lot of capital that want to invest in Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, these other coins, but they just don't know how, right?
Yeah. So the real thing is if you're on the board of directors of a pension fund, you are not investing in an asset class that's not regulated or registered, or with a firm that's not registered or regulated. So we've had to work with the regulators to determine how do we regulate money management firms to actually have the crypto expertise. And they have to realize which cryptos are they going to allow us to manage. So for example, things like privacy coins, the Moneros, the Zcash, the Dashes, they're not going to allow us to manage that because those are completely anonymous and can be used for nefarious activities. Once they realized that AML, KYC, and Bitcoin was all synonymous, then they said, now we can get past the areas of legislation that says we can now regulate this because we can track down our Bitcoin and make sure we're dealing with clean coins.
Definitely. I think that's one of the key aspects to growing Bitcoin to the mainstream adoption is that we're going to need to have KYC, who are we dealing with? Like, no company is going to want to lend a bunch of either it's cash or Bitcoin to somebody if they don't know who they are, right?
Exactly. And I think that we're all the same way. We all feel that way too. We don't want it to be used. It's such an omniscient tool for moving money around the world instantaneously, securely, and virtually for free that we want to continue to make this happen. And it will continue to happen. So we're working painstakingly with the regulators, but they've been right there in Canada. We're way at the lead of what's going on in this in the world.
That's awesome. So you guys are creating a fund that's like registered, or people that do traditional registered investments, they can register and be fully compliant, or how does that work and how do you onboard traditional investors?
Yeah, so the first product that we have is actually is restricted to accredited investors, which means you have to have $1 million of investable assets and or $250,000 a year of income, these kind of things, which are very onerous, especially for our your generation where everybody's under 35 and they haven't necessarily got there yet. So we've been working, but we had to launch that product to prove out that we can actually get the licensing, get the registration, make that work. But our real vision is to get Bitcoin, Ether, and Litecoin listed on the Toronto Stock Exchange so that people, the average investor can buy it in their TFSA or their registered retirement accounts and hold it for a very long period of time. And when Bitcoin becomes its 100,000 or its $1 million a coin, then everybody's done very, very well.
That's super exciting. So you give a little gist of what's coming in the pipeline for 3IQ. By the end of 2018, you guys are working on this registered fund, and then you guys may be working on other funds, or what's the goal for you guys?
Yeah, what you're going to see come out of 3IQ, you're going to see a bunch of joint ventures that are mentioned. And understand one thing that's very important for us. If we become an important asset manager in the crypto space, we want to help the whole Canadian infrastructure. We want to work with Canadian exchanges. We want to work with Canadian wallet solutions. We want to work with Canadian custodians. We want to work with Canadian media companies. We want to work with Canada and use our strength in the money management business to build out the entire infrastructure in Canada. And that's what we're interested in. Now, having said that, we have to start, if people won't even buy a core simple fund that says buy, hodl, Bitcoin, Ether, and Litecoin, and let's just see how it operates, it's going to be tough for us to launch other products. But we think we've easily got a pipeline of 7 to 9 different products that we're looking at, that as soon as we expand our product line on the markets and become critical size, then we look forward to launching a lot more products.
That's awesome. So if there are accredited investors or people that are looking to learn more about 3IQ, what's the best way to learn more and get involved in it?
3iq.ca is a great website. We also have our own research group, so we publish our own internal proprietary research. But more importantly, once a week, we have Connor and Daniel and a bunch of people that combine some of the greatest crypto stories in Canada for Canadians, for advisors, and very simple projects. So sign up for our weekly blog, and hopefully we'll get some more. We've got 5,000 followers already. We hope to get a few more.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, Fred. It was a pleasure speaking with you.
My pleasure. Good to see you. Best of luck.